Hi, everyone, and welcome to Reverse the Curse Domestic Violence, Child Neglect, and Abuse. My whole platform for Reverse the Curse is to help individuals to escape the cycle of domestic violence, child neglect, and abuse. And once a month or periodically throughout the months, I connect with men and women all around the world to share their story so that we can bring awareness to domestic violence, child neglect, and abuse because I want people to know that it's someone that looks just like you, walk like you, talk like you, got children, go to school like you, that have been in the same situation that you have been in, or survive the situation that you are currently in. So it helps to motivate individuals to see someone that reminds them of them, to see them escape that, to give them hope, to know that they can escape it and they could go on with their life, and their life just doesn't end there with domestic violence, child neglect, abuse, whether it was a rape situation, child molestation, any of those things. Physical abuse, mental abuse, financial abuse. It's just so many levels to domestic violence or abuse, period. And a lot of people are not aware of it. They always think it's the physical abuse. I just want to go over some statistics right now before I would bring on my special guest today. There is 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have been victims. 19% of domestic violence involve a weapon. 20 20,000 phone calls per sorry 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines daily. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crimes. Women between the ages of 18 to 24 are most commonly abused. That part I kind of agree and disagree because I know for me, it started when I was like in middle school. And that's because I thought I was grown and dating and all these things and just being that wild child out there, you know. I grew up in the streets of Bronx, New York, in the hood. And, I just was wild. I was a tomboy. And grew up seeing domestic violence growing up, whether it was a relative or friends or a friend of a friend or a cousin friend going through it, or just all it. I just seen it, and I always said to myself, I would never ever allow my boyfriend, husband, man, or whatever to put their hands on me in that way because it's just not right. I learned to never ever say never because you never know what you will be able to deal with, take or not, until you are faced or in that situation. So I never say never anymore because I was that person that said never and end up in a domestic violence situation. Um, so it was like two situations for me, and like I said, it started for me in middle school. Started off with a little, playing or whatever, or then it got serious to where it was a serious situation at that time, that we was having a disagreement and hands was put on me, and I was wild. I fought back. It was nothing. I was just so it's just like, whatever, whatever, whatever. But until it just got worse and worse, and out of nowhere they just thought, okay, this is the thing that we do. And I had to come to realization, this is not what I want. And I got away from that situation. I didn't even have to escape because, like I said, that was just the mentality that we were all in and we seen. And we just thought it was normal for a couple to go through fighting each other and whatever. But, you know, got in high school, and my high school sweetheart, out of nowhere, after being with him for a year or two, like a year or two, I believe, started putting his hands on me out of nowhere. Never saw it coming, any of this. So that's just a little quick little thing just so I can introduce my special guest. I wasn't going to even talk about me, but you just never know with these recordings, just never know. I just feel like I just let God lead me, and I just learned that's the best way to do it. So I have a special guest, and for safety reasons, and she or he do not want, well, it's a she, I'm sorry. She do not want to be revealed, and we have to respect that. And she is going to share her story on her domestic violence um, relationship with her lover, and how she got out of it, and how old she is, if she don't mind sharing that, or how old she was when it first happened, if this was multiple relationships um, that she been in. I don't know if it's just one relationship. I haven't totally heard the full story, so this is going to be my first time. Like, it's going to be your first time watching this, and was this something that you saw growing up and stuff like that? So I'm gonna ask all of my questions later. If I don't hear it come up, I'm gonna ask all of my questions at the end of the video. Um, so the floor is yours, Molly.
Okay, so my first abusive relationship started in 2011. I was living with my mom at the beginning of 2011. Well, I was living there all my life, but like it started there. Um, I went to my home province here in Canada and I met him. And I remember him taking me to a hockey game and he was all over me. Like he was trying to, wanting me to have sex. I was only 17 years old. I said no. Like there was no sex and we didn't have any of that. And I remember leaving him. I remember going with someone else. I got back with him because I thought he had changed. And then I moved away again and I went to live with my grandparents. And then what happened after that was I remember him wanting to go somewhere with his buddy and it was like to a strip club or something. And he put a bag over his head and tried to choke himself and tried to suffocate himself so that I wouldn't leave him. And at that point, that's what started my addiction with drugs. Um, and that's where it led up to my first addiction with the pills. And then from there, I flew back. I caught him cheating on me. He told me to show up at his workplace, said nothing was going on. There was no other girl in the picture, that it was just me and him at the time. And the girl approached him and said, "Come outside for a cigarette." And he said, "This is my girlfriend." And I was really hurt. I was emotionally abused by him mentally with head games. And he would say like he loved me and he wasn't on any dating sites. And then he went on Plenty of Fish. He had a lock on his phone when I flew back there. It was just an all around abusive, mentally and emotional abusive relationship. And then I remember certain parts of it that were really bad. We would be going out and like my mom would give us money to go out and get cigarettes or like whatever we needed at the time. And I felt like in the end, like it wasn't worth it. Like he was using me for money. Um, when I eventually got the strength, things were going better. We worked on things and we went to the park one night and he was intoxicated and he was under the influence of drugs like CDSA, which is drug paraphernalia and pills and things like that. And he approached my 13-year-old cousin at the time, and I was off in the distance, and he was 22 at the time. I was 18. She was 13. I didn't hear anything that was going on. He approached her, told her lies upon lies about me to have the police called. I was then getting text messages from my mom, who had been in the province at the current time because my grandfather was dying. And he had got me arrested, taken me away from my family in 2011, 2012. 2012, I was arrested. And I was brought into custody at my nan's, at my grandmother's house. And they said, you're under arrest. And I said, for what? I was in tears. I was really devastated, really angry about the whole situation. And I said, like, what am I under arrest for? And they said, uttering death threats and violence. And I was like, what? Like, I'm 18, like, she's 13. Why am I going to go after my cousin? I went to court. My lawyer said it didn't make any sense. And he didn't even come to court. And then my grandfather passed away. I had asked him to come to the funeral. He wouldn't show his face to any of my family. He wouldn't show up. I'm still faced with a heartache today. Most of all, it's been a nightmare for me. And now we got back in 2020. We got back together on and off 9 years of all this. We got back together on and off through Snapchat, Facebook. It was just cam sex after cam sex after cam sex. It was, he wanted that and only that. I got in the end that that's what he wanted. We got back together in 2020. It was from February to May. And in 2020, I had a girl message me and say, your boyfriend's got my clothes and it's at his house. And he called me his wife. He got me a ring. It ended up that he was on Tinder. Again, he was cheating. So from there, it led up to I didn't want to be with him. He told me he missed the addict me because I was into drugs and alcohol. I got clean and sober 2019. And I ended up getting clean and sober 2019. And then after that happened, like I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just not happy. He would go to his work, he worked nights. He ended up changing his work schedule. That's when I knew there was something emotionally, mentally. I knew I was getting abused. I get so he lied about that. He said there was nothing going on at work, that he wanted to get off nights because he didn't want me here alone in my house because he was down in another province. He didn't want me alone. And all I remember is he saying, "Oh, I just don't want to do this anymore." I spent days on end not wanting to eat. I wasn't getting up out of bed. I was crying every day. I was just not happy. And finally, I said, you know what? I'm done. And to get out of that relationship after 9 years on and off and him calling me his wife, I had to message someone that was like his sister and basically start an argument with her so that he would hate me enough to make me leave him like for good. I had to start like to get out of that cycle to break it so that he would let me live because I wanted to be free. And to this day, I've received no justice. I've received nothing from the courts, nothing from the police. I have told him to tell the police the truth because my life was lied about. I was lied about to the police. I was lied about to my family. It's not fair. So I lost my family and he was just, making Facebook posts then when I left him for myself. He started spewing hate, calling me names over Facebook, saying that I was screwed in the head. He had people commenting hate about me. He was spewing it, spewing it, spewing it to a point where I was in the bathroom and saying I wanted to not live anymore. I didn't want to live. And I left him in May of 2020 and I haven't looked back. What got me out of that relationship was when I seen that razor and I just wanted to be done. I said, I can't do this. Like, he's not enough for me to take my own life. And I had my best friend call me and she said, you know what? You're better than this. What are you doing? You don't need to die over this man. You need to keep living for yourself. So I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And it wasn't until Christmas that I realized what I had done to my family, because I had to leave my little brother in 2011 and I went back there without my little brother and my mom and my dad. And it wasn't until Christmas that my mom looked at me and said, I want my daughter back. And that really woke me up. And, when they started hugging me and like I was crying and my mom was crying, it helped me realize that that wasn't love. He didn't love me. And I realized the damage that came from my family. Like I ripped my own self away from my mom and my dad and my brother for this man. And my mom wanted me to go back with her in 2011, 2012, and I didn't. I stayed around and I loved him. Like I gave him whatever we needed to be happy, and it just wasn't enough. So what really got me out of that was that last suicide attempt when I wanted to take my own life. When he would say to me, there was a day where I wasn't happy, and he said, I'm going to jump in front of a car off the overpass. And he was trying to choke himself out on cam in 2020. He was trying to fall in his bed, and he would get up and say, what a rush it was. And then he started punching himself in the face so bad, beating himself up, like punching himself till he was actually bruised up. I got on the phone with someone else that I had met in a domestic violence group that I reached out to. And I said, like, I'm being abused. And they ended up calling the police to where he was to get him the help he needed because I couldn't do it. I was afraid what could go wrong. So then I had them call the police, and the police went to his house to basically take him to the medical unit where he could get assessed. And he lied to the police and said there was nothing wrong so that I looked like the liar. So I got out of that relationship. And it was hard. It was heartbreaking. I still fall apart every day knowing that I'm still not able to see my family. I never got the justice I deserve. I never got the truth. My cousin never told the police the truth. She still won't to this day. And so now I've had to live without my grandmother because my grandmother said that he didn't deserve anything from it. He didn't deserve it, like anything that, like, if anyone approached him, she said he didn't deserve it. I then had to cut her out of my life after her being my best friend my whole life. My grandmother has been my rock, my foundation. So my message in this is when a man says that he loves you and you see yourself doing more for him than he's done for you with money, and you see yourself like being isolated from your family, don't stay with that person because you'll only end up losing yourself. And in the end, I almost lost my fight. I almost gave up all my depression and let depression take a toll on my life. And I almost ended up dead. And I wanted to take my life. And if it wasn't for my mom Christmas, I don't know where I would have been. I don't know if I would have had the mindset I do today. This Christmas really touched my heart. And if you've got parents out there, y'all, all I got to say is hold them close because you never know what tomorrow will bring. And you never know, if you're going to see your family again. So hold your loved ones close and work. And my second story with abuse was 2016. And that was very violent. June 4th, 2016. Was it June 2nd, 2016? I met my ex at a store. And I remember walking up to him and he said our area code and he said, "This is my section."
Wait, before you go to the second story, let me just
Yep.
ask you some questions.
Yep.
How old was you with the first abuse?
I was 17 and then I turned 18 and then 2020, I was 25. Or yeah, 25.
But this is the first abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was with the same person
Yeah.
through those years, that time
Yeah.
frame.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, if you have you seen him since you left him?
Only on camera, and after May, I didn't do any more video calls with him. No.
Okay. If you were able to see him right now, what would you want to say to him?
Thank you for making me a better me. Thank you for allowing me to walk away and love me. Thank you for giving me the freedom I deserve in my life, and thank you for giving me back me and for me to have a chance to love myself.
And was he like a high school sweetheart? It was a lot I was following.
It was more like a love. Like I I fell for him. I did. I would look at it like that, I guess.
Okay. All right. All right, forget the second part.
Yep. So 2016, June 2nd, 2016, my ex was there and he wasn't my ex yet. Um, we met, he stayed at my house the one night, and as soon as we met, that was it. We headed off, and he didn't want to get up for work the next morning. And then he started coming back over, started drinking, and within the week, he gave me a ring. And at this point, I didn't know anything about the abuse. Like, I didn't know, basically what that was until I got out. So basically, it got really violent. He would drink and he would go right off. He would be calling me names, punching me in the stomach, peeing on my floor. He would call me a whore, a bitch, a slut, and you name it, I was called it. So I remember being on the phone, girl, in the bathroom, and it was one of my girls. And I remember just talking to her, and I came out, and he said, "Babe, there's blood everywhere." He had gone into my kitchen, stabbed himself in the finger with a knife, hit his head off of the table, and then my door. He passed out in my bed. I couldn't wake him up. I said, "Babe, babe, babe." Nothing worked. He wasn't waking up. So I called 911. And the paramedic said, for the, like, basically my real name, they said, like, if you didn't call us when you did, he would have been dead. He would have been dead in your bed if you didn't call. They came up with the heart monitor, the big red tank they had, the air tank and the oxygen tank. And so then he was able to wake up. They took him out in the hallway in my apartment building, and he lied on the whole report, saying he wasn't under any drugs when he was. We walked out of the hospital. He was yelling and screaming in the hospital, saying he's not taking a P test. He's not doing it. He's not doing it. Called me every name until we got home. And we had 5 cruisers watching us walk home. And so then people tried to tell him, she really did care enough to call 911. You could have been dead. Like, you could have been dead in her bed. I remember, like, just the abuse, just how much it was. I remember him being intoxicated and high. One day his friend came over and I wanted to be alone. And he walked in my room when I wanted to be alone and dragged me off my bed. There was glass on my floor. And he ended up dragging me where the glass was. And I was bruised up from my hip down. And the bruises were bad. It was my birthday, June 26th. It was my birthday. And he said, I want you to lie to your mom and your dad about how it happened. I want you to tell them you fell. So that's the lie I went along with, because I didn't think of it at the time that if I didn't lie, what could happen. So when I lied, I kept him around. Had I told my parents the truth, I probably would have been dead. So there was that occasion where I had, got back up and said, yeah, I fell. And my mom said, no, that's not a falling. That's not a fallen bruise. Like, that's no. And so then I ended up like still staying with him. And then one day we went for a walk and he and me were out for a walk. And I said to my mom, like, I lost my house keys. And at this point, I knew that that was a sign in my head that, hey, it's time to leave this relationship. And so then my mom the next day came down, and what had happened, he was beating me. He was beating me black and blue, kicking me, punching me, you name it, he was doing it. And my mom walked in and she said, get the hell out. Get the hell out of the house. You're going. Pack your shit. You're going out of her house. So my mom told him to get out, and he called my phone and he kept leaving voicemails. And on my voicemail was, I'm coming back and I'm going to throw you down over the stairs. It's going to be me hitting you, you hitting the ground, and the ambulance going 90. So then I did call the police. I went right to the police station. I got a police officer to come and get me. I wanted to do a video statement. I wanted to give my statement, my story, because it needed to go out there. So I went to the station and I let the police hear it. And they said, okay, we got it on file. And then they called him when he was with me. He came back the next day. I thought I was for sure going to be dead that day. He came back and he was apologetic. He said it would never happen again. And he made me call the police and say I had a change of heart. And then that night, he abused me again. He got drunk and beat me again. So anyway, he stayed, and I still stayed, and I stayed through the abuse, and the abuse got worse. And I remember like what he did to me. He could do to another woman though, but I remember like him coming back and then my mom saying, get out. And that wasn't enough. And finally, my mom got a call from me. I was on the way to the hospital. The next assault happened. He ended up pushing me in my living room. I hit the ground. I was unconscious. I couldn't catch my breath. Finally, when I got the strength to catch my breath, I messaged my buddy and I said, can you call 911? I can't catch my breath. My chest is really hurting and my neck. So then the ambulance came and they said, you need to give a statement to the police. I said, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going to the police. No, I'm not giving a statement. I'm not giving a statement. I'm not. And they said, listen, no, you're going. You don't have a choice. This is abuse. And I said, I don't want to give a statement. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me if I give a statement. So I ended up giving a statement. My mom met me at the hospital and she said, why are you limping? I was limping at the hospital. They said in the x-ray room, I'm lucky to be alive today. I'm lucky I never had any broken bones. I'm lucky that I survived the abuse. I'm lucky I got out when I did. It took a lot for me to leave. And it wasn't until I got that way that it all started because he wanted a chain back from his baby mama for his son. He wanted it back. And he was lying about seeing her until, like, I had that gut feeling that there was something going on, right? Like, he was seeing her again. They were working things out. That's the way I took it. And when I said that, it blew up. So that's how I got assaulted that time. And I was taken by paramedics to the hospital, and I was lucky to have no broken bones. And then I seen him at court. And because then he decided that he was going to cheat on me again after the abuse, because I that wasn't enough to clearly get me to leave for good. And so then I got on Facebook after his last arrest, and I seen he was in a relationship, but he was with me the relationship date of this posting that I didn't even look at his Facebook for. So then I started messaging her, letting her know what he was doing and who he was and who he was with. Because every woman deserves to know their man is cheating. And so I messaged her and I said, "This is what he's doing. I'm his girlfriend. This is basically our story. And listen, he's taken." And it took his coworkers calling my phone and saying that he was with her, he was having sex with her, he was sleeping with her. So she ended up calling the police, making a false report saying I was going to kill her. I was going to put her in a body bag. I was going to harm her. I showed up at her house because she told me to come talk to her, woman to woman, not thinking there was anything wrong. And I showed up, and then she would come outside and talk to me. I tried to confront her. She said confrontation was abuse. And because he had brainwashed her, yeah, he brainwashed her to thinking that I was this monster. And all I wanted to do was, woman to woman and say, "This is my story. This is what's going on. How long has it been going on between you two?" Because I was already sleeping with him, on and off after the abuse too. And that's when she called the police and I was arrested and went to court. And I seen him July 19, 2017. And I had my workers with me from counseling and domestic violence worker as well. And I looked at him with tears in my eyes and I said, "I'm done. You're done. It's done. You're done abusing me." And he said, "Breach, breach, breach," because we weren't supposed to have any communication. I had the police there with me as well. And I called them to let them know that I did make that move, that I was told him I was done. And to this day, I haven't spoken to him. I haven't been with him. I haven't associated. I moved. I left in 2018 of where he was living near. I moved out of that area. My mom and I have helped, and my aunt got me to a safe place where I now call this my rehabilitation home from drugs and alcohol. I basically call it my rehab because I've no longer been in addiction. I no longer have drugs. I no longer use it. I no longer drink.
That's good.
So I'm clean and sober, and he's still out there in addiction. And so both of my exes were addicts and they still are. And here I am today, clean and sober. Today I'm a big sister. And today I live my best life and I've escaped domestic violence. And this is my story. And I'm just helping others.
Awesome, awesome. I want to give you a hand for that. I wish I had an audience to clap with me because that took guts, and this is brave of you to share, regardless if no one can see your face or not. It's the fact that you was willing to share your story because you want to help someone else out to escape the
Yep.
cycle and to escape the abuser.
Yep.
Again, I'm gonna clap on that. Um, I do have some questions that I want to ask, like
Yep.
if anyone was here with us on this recording that they would ask.
Yep.
Um, so so one of the famous questions that everyone always asks, because
Yep.
I used to get asked the question, you already know how that go.
Yep.
What made you stay?
Um,
What, because only you know, and it
I
may sound
wanted
kind of
to, I wanted to save them. I wanted to be that woman that could save them, and I wanted to show them that there was a better life out there than abuse and drugs and alcohol. And myself, when I was an addict, I just wanted that love. I just wanted to feel loved because I guess I wasn't feeling it from my parents, and I just felt that if I stayed around, that they would give it to me.
and that was the first question that I wanted to ask you, because anything, have you experienced anything in your childhood that you feel led you or made you be able to I don't even want to say accept, but I say accept because you stood in the abusive
Um,
relationship and then you got back into another one. Because sometimes people get caught up in abusive relationship because like me, I saw it even though I said I would never ever let a man do that to me, but I end up letting it happen. Or sometimes it's nobody close to you. I got sidetracked, my brain's left me. um
well, what really got me into these situations was in 2003, my mom and dad looked at me and said, as a child, like I was only 7 years old at the time, or 8, and they said, "We're moving away." And they took me from my family. And I guess because of that, taking me from my family at the time because they needed a job, that it led up to abandonment because I felt taken away from my family. So I felt that abandonment from that could keep me sticking in my family and all my people back in my home province. That if I stayed in a relationship with these people close in my home province, like this person lives here where I'm to, the last story, but the other one is in my home province. And I guess staying with him for so long made me feel closer to my family because he knew my family. He was there and he works where he sees my family every day. So I guess that kept me too in the relationship because I didn't have the abandonment as much because my family was still in connection at the time. So I guess has a lot to do with abandonment being taken from a family at the early age for my parents to go get work. I guess that's kept me, I guess you can say that.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question. That was basically what I was going to say, or any other type of trauma that you experienced that you feel like you was missing something in your childhood to where, because a lot of people feel like, they didn't have a father in their life or a mother in their life. So now they got this aggressive,
And then my
depending on the
sister walked
sex.
out of my life in 2019 or 2018. So I guess all of it just led up to abandonment.
Gotcha. Um, okay. And you said that you had children. How has this affect your relationship with your kids?
I have no kids. I have
So
a
I
little
know.
brother.
Okay, and was he through with you throughout this time? 'Cause I remember you saying something about kids. They did it in, I think it was the first
Nope. My
two.
exes had kids.
Okay,
My
so
ex
he
has
did this
kids.
in front of his children.
Yeah. His children weren't around with us. He only seen his son alone.
Okay, I
In the
don't know. I
last
could have sworn.
story.
I think it was. I could have sworn I heard you say something about he did something in front of the kids, or y'all had the
No,
kids or something.
no.
Okay,
He abused his ex in front of his kid. The last story with another woman.
okay.
Yeah.
What was some of the triggers? Do you feel like there? I feel like it was triggers because I know, like even drinking could be a trigger because I know
Yep.
sometimes in my past relationship with my abuser, like it was also cycles.
Yep.
It would
It's
be
like
like
that with me.
I discovered it was every 3 months. And I
Yeah.
was like, what in the world is going on? And it's like you could almost see it in the body language and just how the whole day go. Like you already know what's about to happen. Or if he starts drinking,
Well, I
you
mean, in
know.
2020, in that relationship, I had to watch him drink and lie about it, and he was doing acid. And for me, I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit around and watch that anymore, knowing. And then all his teeth were falling out, and I couldn't. It reminded me of addiction. It reminded me of my flashbacks with my drugs that I used to do. And when he said, "I must be out to you," that was the end of it. I knew it was going downhill from there, and that's where I said, I can't do this to myself."
And what was the trigger, you think? What was some of the triggers for him to make him act out with you?
I think when I got clean and sober, when he finally found out that I no longer could, like, he could manipulate me, I think that him seeing me clean was a trigger for him to get angry because he can't do that. He can't get clean. If that makes sense.
Yes. He wanted you to be like him and not have your life together.
Yeah.
Just wanted to keep you down so he could have control of you.
Yeah.
Have you ever went through with hurting yourself? I know you was tempted.
I've self harm in the past with razor blades, a knife. I've had people pull knives out of my hands because I wanted to die. My last place in 2015, I tried to take my own life, and I had someone take the knife out of my hand and say, "You're not going nowhere." So, and then I was drunk one night and went down by the train tracks, and I wanted to die. And I was like, because with someone that I was like really close with, and 4 o'clock in the morning, the ambulance driver called, and I was at on the way to the hospital, and it was with the police, and like I called my mom and I said, "I'm in the hospital. I'm under the influence, and I want to take my life." And so my buddy that was my buddy at the time, my really good friend that I no longer speak with because he's in a relationship and I just left it alone. He stayed with me in the hospital, and I was medicated, and I found out I have borderline personality.
You said
And
they said what about your personality?
I have borderline personality, and I was put on medication. And that again
And what
got
is that?
me.
What
Borderline
is that?
personality is like, um, you don't know your moods. One minute you're happy, the next minute you're sad, the next minute you're freaking out, lashing out. You don't know how to deal with your emotions, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, like, that took a toll, and then the hospital sent me home with pills, and that's when the addiction got worse. I started getting into more heavy drugs, more heavy drugs, more heavy drugs. So I think him seeing me clean and sober, the 2011 one, I think he got triggered by the fact I was able to get clean.
All right. Out of all the relationships you've been in
Yep,
with abusive relationships,
yep.
um, what is maybe two or three things that you can? What was your worst? Can you name like anywhere between one and three? If you want to name three, you can. That was your. That was like I just can't believe he did this to me. Like your worst
Flying back to my home
experience.
province and seeing that girl, it was a family friend, best friend, seeing her there at the mall and asking to come for a smoke, I think enough was enough for me there, but I still stayed even though. The second one had to be when he was doing acid. And then this
I
one,
mean, I'm saying like abuse, like the physical
oh,
abuse.
physical, the last time he did it, I think enough was enough when he pushed me to the floor. And I fell, and I think that was what got me to leave. That was the last time for me. Enough was enough.
And how did you escape this last relationship? Was you able to like literally just walk out? Did you have to creep, sneak, do it while he was
Um,
sleeping?
I had to call the police, and my buddy called the police with me there. I was on the floor, and I got a hold of him on Facebook, and I said, "Call the police." And so I was able to leave when he got out of custody, when he went into custody, and then he got out 4 days later and said, "I want my stuff." And I said, "All right." I dropped it over with the police there. Police were present. I didn't want to discuss it. So he said, "I'll be coming back home again." And I was like, "No." And that was the end. I said, "I'm not letting him back. This is going
And
to get worse."
what did his parents have to say? Like, is his parents living?
His parents are living and they bailed him out. They bailed him on a $5,000 bail. Got him out. And now they're living happily ever after. Him and the supply, they've been together for 4 years now.
And how long has it been since you've seen him?
July 19th, 2017 at court. And he signed off
Wow,
on if he came back around, he would do 4 years imprisonment.
that's 4 years now. That is good. If you know, just like I asked you about the first one, if you was able to run into him right now and you had a chance without him be able to put one finger on you, without him able to say one word to you, what do you have on your chest that you want him to hear and that you would
Um,
feel like it would, if you have any heavy weight on you about him
I
and you
do.
just want him.
I do. It would have to be thank you for making me the woman I am today. Thank you for being able to let me walk. And as much as it hurts me, you've made me a better me. You've shown me that I can do this. I can do recovery. I'm being able to wake up every day now and be a big sister. And my little brother doesn't have to worry about his sister waking up in addiction today, doesn't have to worry about being abused, doesn't have to worry about, crying every day with a blade in the bathroom, wanting to die. Thank you for making me me. Thank you for giving me back my life as much as it hurts. Thank you for giving my mom back her daughter. Thank you for giving my dad back his daughter. Thank you for giving me a way out of the relationship when I wanted to leave. You didn't love me. You loved the thought of me. You loved having someone to control and manipulate. And I'm not that person anymore. And because of you, I'm a warrior. So thank you.
Awesome. And I like the fact that you didn't, everything that you said was thank you. It's like you didn't try to attack him.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people will be like trying to curse them out, but at the end, say thank you because at the end of the day, you made me a stronger person.
Yeah.
But you just took it a whole nother route. That's showing me that you totally forgave him. Like you just like, you don't even exist to me no more.
Yeah.
I'm working on me and I'm moving forward. You don't even exist. I'm not even worrying about you. I just hope you have a happy, blessed life or whatever you choose to do with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do me for
I
me.
actually did message him like a couple of days ago and I said basically the same thing. I won't let you do this to me anymore and I wish you the best. And even if it's not with me, I just want to wish you the best.
That is awesome.
And I've left.
And you didn't look back. You didn't go back once you left, right? Once you
I'll
left, you
never
didn't
go
try to
back.
go back.
After May, that was
Awesome.
it for me. When I saw him say, I miss the attic cube, that was enough to say, that's not something I want to be in. Nope.
All right. So leaving all of the crazy stuff to the side,
Yep.
now we want to hear about the new you, the overcomer, the warrior, the survivor, the person that is moving forward in their life and not looking
Yep.
back. What are some things that first I have little questions that I'm gonna ask bit by bit and lead up to the end.
Yep.
Tell us how because some people, they leave out the relationship and it's an emotional roller coaster because a part of them feel like they want to run back. They missing they ex, all these things, and at the same time, all the abuse and everything that they went through with this person is also playing in the back of their head. So
Yep.
the love that they have for them, the feelings that they still holding on,
Yep.
and the hurt that they are
Yep.
still holding on.
Yep.
So tell us, how was that journey for you leaving and had to deal with all of that and trying to stay strong not to go back? What was the thing that kept you? Also, I'll wait. I hold that question for that. Don't want to give you too many questions in one question. So you need me to repeat the first question?
Yeah.
So just I was like, wait, hold on. All right. So tell us about the recovery of escaping or just walking away because you really didn't escape. You literally just walked out. Some people escape. They had to sneak
Yep.
out.
Yep.
You was able to just walk away. Tell us how that journey was and
I
how
went
long it took you
to,
to be in that
yep. I went to a
mind.
shelter at first. I went to a shelter and then I left my apartment to get away and to basically get away from him so that he couldn't hurt me when it was going through court. And because my best friend that at the time that I thought was my best friend here where I am wasn't a true friend in the end. But she ended up taking my phone and texting him when I was on a friggin' restraining order, peace bond. And that led up to me leaving her place where I was. And because I moved in with her after the shelter, and then I went to a shelter again. And then after the shelter, I went back to my apartment. And after that, I ended up getting myself evicted, got in another relationship that wasn't abusive, and I got evicted. And then I ended up, my aunt said, it's fun while it lasted for you, but you got evicted. So this was your journey. And so I left there, and now today I'm in this sober living house. Well, it's my house, but I call it my sober living house because I got clean and sober 2019. And this is where I am today.
Okay. What was the motivation for you to keep you going forward and not going backwards?
Honestly,
Um,
give a shout out to my best friend if she ever hears this. She got me through my strength, my determination. She's pushed me to the top. On my bad days, she's always there. She's got kids of her own. She's a great mother, great inspiration to me. She's helped me through everything, my breakdowns. She's always there like a counselor. Even when my counselor's not available, she's helped me push through. She's also been through abuse, and we're survivors together, and we've pushed ourselves together, and she's always there no matter what. And I just want to thank her, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have known my own strength.
Isn't that I know that's right. And I'm glad that you have someone that was there to be able to push you through. You ain't literally have to do all of this
She is
by
my best
yourself.
friend, and she's my rock, my foundation.
Because I lost my best friend in the process because she got tired of me going back. That's what I'm
I've
saying.
had
So
that
that's a
happen before
blessing.
with friends, but this one is my best friend and my one and only.
Are you doing anything now that you wasn't able to do with him because he was a distraction and you had to deal with all of those
Um,
things with him?
I
Have
can
you started
color
a
now. I can make drawings from my wall now.
can you
Um,
start over? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I write like words on my wall now, like positive words. Like I have one up on my wall now, and I drew it. It has my name all around it. And then I wrote, "Be the voice that needs to be heard today. Always believe in yourself. Be who you want to be. Charisma. There's always hope. Don't give up. Keep your head up. Never give up trying. Always believe the sky's the limit, even through your strengths. Always have determination, and always remember who the hell you are. You survived this. Keep going."
Have you started any businesses or anything or hobbies or anything?
I write for family. I write wedding stuff. I write like poetry for weddings for my family. Funerals. When it comes to someone's death, I will write an obituary, kind of like a poem. And I wrote my last one for my grandfather, which is framed at my grandmother's. I wrote it and made my family cry because I wrote it so well. I believe in myself with determination, and I believe that I pulled through and I'm able to give my family back what they deserve.
And you wasn't able to do any of this
No,
stuff when you was in a relationship with him.
no.
And how has your peace of mind been? Like, has it, because I know for me sometimes it was I had to sleep with one eye open and one eye closed.
Um, my mind's been pretty up and down. Like I have my days where I don't miss that lifestyle, but I miss my family. But I'm able to push through at the end of the day and say, like, I don't need that. I don't need my family right now. I need my mom, my dad, my brother. That's all I need. And my best friend. I don't need that life anymore. Like, if they want to talk to my ex, let them go. My dad said actually a couple of days ago, he was in the car with me and he said, you know what? The situation's made you more upset than happy. It was time to go. It was time to block the family, even if they didn't want you to. It was time to walk. And I did. And his own mother, I've walked away from, and she basically raised me up. And here I am today without her, and I'm pushing through.
What we want to be at the end.
Yep.
Um, I do want to ask you this question because I know you said that you're a believer,
Yep.
believe in God.
Yep.
Um, have any time now getting a little bit on the spiritual side.
That's okay.
Where was your spiritual life at through all of this with the abusive
I had
relationship?
turned my back on God, and it wasn't until 2019 that I hit my knees and I prayed to God and I wanted out of addiction and I wanted out of all the things I was going through. And I hit my knees with Him again in 2020, and I said, "Get me out of this because I can't live like this." God is good, clean and sober 2019, and got out of the relationship 2020. And
Um,
2017 at court, I escaped that. God is good.
yes, he is. What is? Do you have a favorite scripture?
I don't.
Okay, it's okay. As I'm just getting back into church myself.
Or yeah, I do. God so loved the world, He gave His only Son that shall not perish, eternal life. And those who believe in Him shall get eternal life. Yeah, that's saying.
Awesome, awesome. Um, so now we at the end,
Yep.
and what would you like to leave behind to a 16-year-old and older woman or man or just period that's fitting for either sex to encourage them that they could go on or whatever it is, just this is the floor I'm
There's
leaving
hope.
it open for you.
There's hope out there. There's people out here like myself that want people to reach out, because I think that if I didn't have the support I did, I wouldn't be where I am today. If you're in an abusive relationship, just know there's help. Just know that you are worth it and you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to be accepted and known and appreciated, and your story matters.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, for having the courage to come on Reverse the Curse and share your story with the world. Because, like I said, this will be uploaded on YouTube, and I will be sharing it on,
Yep,
my social media platform,
yep,
only to be able, only using this to help bring bring awareness to domestic
yep,
violence and anything that's in individual stories that somebody may be listening to this and have hope for drug abuse.
yep,
So again, I thank you and I thank God for giving me this platform and this idea and this gift to be able to sit here and listen to everyone's story, because it is very touchy and it's no joke. A
yep,
lot of people can't go through the things that we went through. People want to be like you so bad in different areas of your life, but you saying that you want to be like me, you got to walk in the shoes that I walked to get all the way here. So do you want to go through the abuse that I had to go through to become this person that I am today? No, you don't want to. And I don't wish this on any of my worst enemies. I would never want them to be able to experience the abuse that I experienced, you experience, and anyone that's currently going through abuse.
yep,
Um, Anyone that's watching this, I want you to know there is help out there. You need to look around to your local women and men's shelters. If you have children, there are ones with for families as well. There are hotlines that you can call. If you are scared for your life, you have to put your phone on mute and dial 911. If you have to just leave it on speaker and just say something that alerts the the officer on the other end so they can know that you're in a dangerous situation. We have to plan these things out for the day that you are ready to walk away. No, it's not easy to escape because your heart is attached, but you have to want to live and not die at the end of the day. And if you have family as well, if you don't have children, you have a mother, a father, a guardian, someone out there that you are a role model to, that looks up to you. If you can't do it for you, do it for that person, but I would hope that you would do it for yourself. Um, if anyone is watching this video, or you know someone that may be interested in sharing a story and being a special guest on Reverse the Curse, please email me. The email is located right on my YouTube channel, and we will connect and set something up. And if you want to be just like my special guest today, where you're not revealing who you are, that is totally fine. At the end of the day, you are sharing your story, and we are helping bringing awareness to the nations. Again, my name is Jillian Janae Mays, and I hope you have a blessed, prosperous day. Take care.